Lazy is a 4-letter word I've stripped from my vocabulary. Gone. Why? Because it's not an accurate description of what's really happening when I sit on the couch and scroll my phone or stare out the window. Those moments aren't laziness, they're survival. But the second I sit down, mom guilt for feeling lazy creeps in. Even if I've been up since 4:50 a.m. and driven in hours of traffic and given every ounce of focus to patient care, even then, sitting down feels wrong. Especially when the house is buzzing and one of my kids asks me to explain how mitochondria work. That guilt? It's not because I'm lazy, it's because I've been conditioned to believe that rest equals weakness. Today I'm pulling back the blindfold on what lazy really means for high-achieving women. And I can tell you it has absolutely nothing to do with a character flaw. Find the full transcript and more resources for physician moms at inspiredmommds.com/61. You're listening to Inspired Mom MDs with host Cindy Van Prague, helping physician moms take back control and prioritize what matters most so they thrive in private practice and at home. Hi there, and thank you so much for joining me today. I find it odd that one can both vilify and honor laziness in one sentence. Like, I long for a lazy Saturday sipping coffee in bed. But I get anxiety when I feel so lazy when I take a nap after work. Or a lazy day at the beach is a dream. But reading a book from my favorite author on a weekday is off limits. How can this term be both desirable and detestable? The term lazy is fraught with contradictions. And in the wrong setting, it blinds women to the real underlying problem, or should I say, problems. The word lazy is a false label. Dr. Moms aren't lazy. They're incredibly productive and driven and brilliant humans. Today I'm talking about the problem with this label, the problems it hides, and what to start doing about it. The labels hurt. They are an easy, spur-of-the-moment decision that can have unfortunate consequences. Laziness is often thought of as this lack of motivation or willingness to exert energy for everyday tasks of living. Dr. Moms flat out don't have the energy to exert, though they have no shortage of the motivation. This feeling of being lazy is a symptom of something greater, and to slap a label on yourself or others judging you with maybe just their eyes just perpetuates the stigma that you don't care. Well, that's not true. And when you keep calling yourself a lazy mom for not doing X, Y, or Z, it can become a habit. It reinforces a fixed mindset that sitting down to rest is somehow not acceptable. Maybe you've even said that out loud. This is not acceptable. I know I have. I used to have a hard time with this. I would be so darn exhausted and only wanted to lay down for a quick nap, but I wouldn't because of that creeping mom guilt for feeling lazy, like somehow resting made me less worthy or responsible. There was so much to do, and when everyone else in the house was busy being productive by comparison, laying down made me even more anxious. My mind would race over all the things I need to do and not having enough time to do them. I would feel frustrated because resting now meant running around later in high gear to, get my bag packed or make dinner or breakfast or make lunch. And by lunch, I just mean the food I eat in traffic on the way home because who are we kidding? There's no lunch break. And this distracts from the real reason for exhaustion and inactivity. This label is misinterpreting your real underlying needs. And what are those, you may ask? There are many that are possible, but I want to talk about a handful of them. First, societal expectations are deeply rooted in high-achieving women. Busy physician moms have a lot of people depending on them, and with each person comes its own list of obligations, right? Good and bad. You do need to reply to the critical emails and show up for that board meeting or committee meetings, the important ones. You also do need to bathe your kiddos and read them a bedtime story. That is so good. So when you sit down and put your feet up, some may snicker at even the idea, but if you do, it just doesn't sit right. Pun totally intended. Instead of rest and recovery, this action implies lack of ambition or falling down on your responsibilities, and that does not feel good. But you're not weak, you're just human. How about cultural beliefs, expectations, and values that come from your background? That has a big influence. How were you raised? Were you treated differently or held to a higher standard or lower standard than boys? While you can't change how you were raised, you can choose how you raise your kids. And there are so many other reasons for feeling unproductive. Many women have personality traits and tendencies that just don't let them sit down and rest. And those things could include the well-known perfectionism, imposter syndrome, and procrastination. Well, how about burnout? Yes, burnout is a driving cause of feeling lazy. When you're too stressed and exhausted to think clearly, tap into the etiology for feeling lazy. Any number of these factors I just listed may be the cause of I'm not doing enoughness. And there are more too. Here are some ideas of what you can do today to rip off that label. Consider the 3 R's. Recognize, reframe, and rest. So first, recognizing your thought patterns in the moment is key. Otherwise, you just keep repeating them and you almost kick yourself for thinking and feeling this way after the fact. How do you do this? Just by bringing it to the foreground. The conscious part of your brain, like you are now, just by listening to me. Think of one setting where you find yourself feeling lazy, or whatever word you use to describe it. Next time this happens, you're primed to recognize that feeling. Now, what might that real reason be? Well, this is the next step, which is to reframe the thought of feeling unproductive or lazy. Challenge your thinking and offer yourself some compassion and set more realistic expectations. When I used to come home from work, I would feel guilty for sitting down too long. And by too long, I mean maybe over 5 minutes. If I sat there while my house swirled with activity and questions for me and dinner needed to be prepped, I should really walk for 20 minutes and the dog is asking to go outside. It felt wrong. To sit through all of this felt like I was ignoring my family and responsibilities, and that mom guilt for feeling lazy would hit hard. Like I was doing something wrong by just sitting for 5 minutes. Now it's different. Now I reframe my thoughts. The 3rd R. I reframe my thoughts as they pop into my head because they're already primed, right? I recognize them easier. I set the realistic framework that, yes, hey, you know what? I did wake up at 4:50. I did drive 2 hours in traffic, and I did spend hyper-focused attention on my patient that day. That's my job. I accept that. But now that I'm home, you bet your bottom I'm going to rest before jumping into more work, barring any sort of emergency or urgency. Like, yes, I will get up and let the dog out if I'm alone because I'm not crazy and I seriously don't want to clean up a puddle that she would leave if I ignore her. The next R is to allow yourself to rest. This is the hard one. So once I've recognized what's going on and reframed my thoughts, I allow myself to rest. I recognize that to enjoy my evening and get my essentials done without grumbling, I have to rest first. You see, this feeling of laziness is a signal from your mind. It's telling you, or screaming at you, that your mind and your body are overworked and you need to just pause and stop. Next week, I'm going to unpack more ideas of how the heck do you achieve this rest without feeling guilty while you're doing it, when everyone still needs you in that moment. So please come back for episode 62. In wrapping up today, it's crucial to recognize that the label lazy often masks deeper issues like perfectionism, societal pressures, and burnout. For physician moms, the relentless pursuit of excellence can make rest feel undeserved. But understanding and addressing the underlying factors, or the etiology, is essential for well-being. By recognizing those harmful thought patterns and reframing our mindset and allowing ourselves to rest, we can lessen that mom guilt. So identify your etiology for feeling lazy or not enoughness, or you're not pulling your weight. That's a huge step. So I challenge you to identify your etiology for feeling lazy. And join me next week on episode 62, where I talk about the blissful idea of slowing down and how to do it. Until then, take care of yourselves and take care of those who matter most. It's time to take control and thrive. Just a quick reminder, this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and isn't a substitute for medical advice or care. I'm a board-certified physician, but this content isn't connected to my clinical practice, and no doctor-patient relationship is formed here. Please always talk to your own healthcare professional about any mental or physical health concerns. And as always, take what helps and leave the rest. Please see inspiredmommds.com for full disclosure. Thank you for tuning in to Inspired Mom MDs. Please share with other physician moms and leave a review if you found value from this podcast.